Hello, topic for the video is prime factorization. We all know that prime factorization is a way to find prime numbers which multiply together to make the original number. So we can express a given number in a very simple form of its prime factors, and this form of the number reveals a lot about the number. For example, 84 can be written as 2 into 2 into 3 into 7. This form of the number, this form of 84 can tell us many things about 84. Okay, so is about every number. Okay, means the prime factorization of every number reveals a lot about the number. So we'll discuss few of such informations. Let's take the first one as all composite factors can also be found of the number along with its prime factors. When we have a prime factorization of any number, it tells us about its prime factors also and composite numbers also. How come? Prime factorization form actually reveals the composition of the original number. For example, this is a form of prime factorization of a number. Okay, so it's telling us of which numbers is the number composed of, and number is actually this. So this form is revealing the prime composition of this number directly and the composite composition also indirectly. Means by looking at this number, looking at this prime factorization, we can list the prime factors and composite factors as well. Okay, let's try listing the prime factors of all factors of 6552. So let's start with 1. 1 is a factor of every number, so it will be a factor of 6552 also. So 1 multiplied by this only. So the two factors of this number are these two. 1 is the smallest factor and 6552 is the biggest factor of this. Okay, the next factor is 2. Why 2? Because 2 is present in the prime factorization, so we are sure. So now for writing the factors of 6552, I'll not look at it. I'll not use any divisibility rules. I'm just looking at the prime factorization. Means you just have to prime factorize the number and even not need to recall any divisibility rule. You need not to see whether it is divisible by 2 by looking at the ones place. You need not to add the digits to see whether this number is divisible by 3 or not. You just have to look at the prime factorization. So that's the first utility of the prime factorization, that we can list all the factors. Okay, so 2 is a factor, and what is the other factor? Means the cofactor along with it. So 2 into the rest means 2 into 3. You just not have to write 2, but the rest is to be written. So the cofactor is 3 into 3 into 2 into 2 into 7 into 13, like this 2 is here, so this. So this into this will be 6552, no? Because 3 into 3 into 3 into 3 times 2 into 7 into 13, they give you 6552. So 2 is a factor and the remaining, then the cofactor is 3276, which we got by multiplying the rest factors except 2. 3 is also a factor because 3 is present in the prime factorization, and cofactor can be obtained by multiplying the rest of the factors, leaving this 3. So the cofactor is this. We didn't write this 3 and the rest are written as the cofactors, and the cofactor is 2184. Okay, is 4 a factor? Yes, because 4 is present. So now what will we do? 4 is present, so to write the cofactor we will not write these two prime factors, we will write the rest. So 4 is a factor and cofactor is 3 into 3 into 2 into 7 into 13. So cofactor will be obtained by multiplying these. So the cofactor is this, which is this. Is 5 a factor? No. So how am I'm not looking here again, I'm just looking here. 5 is not present in the prime factorization, so 5 is not a factor of this. Okay, so is 6 a factor? Yes, because 3 into 2 is present in the number. Okay, so as 3 into 2 is present in the prime factorization, so 6 is a factor and the cofactor is the product of rest of the factors leaving 3 and 2, which gives you 6. 7 is a factor as 7 is present, so leaving 7, the rest factors will give you the cofactors, which is 936. Is 8 a factor? Yes, because this is present. So 8 is a factor and the cofactor is 819. Is 9 a factor? Yes. And the cofactors are these. Okay. Just notice how am I finding cofactor. So 3 into 3, 9, and the rest are written here. So 9, 3 into 3 and the rest will give you this. That means 3 into 3 is also factor and the rest are also the factor. Is 10 a factor? No, because 10 is not present as 5 is not present. When you were in junior classes, you were told if a number is not dividing a particular number, then its multiple will also not divide. Okay, so now you got the logic behind it. If 5 is not dividing, so its multiples cannot divide the number, because when 5 is not present in the factorization form, how come 10 would be present? Okay, because for 10 5 is needed. So you got a logic for this. Okay, so we can if a number is not present, then its multiples cannot be present. But if a number is present, then its multiples may or may not be. Just like 2 is present in the prime factorization, so its multiples may or may not be. What are its multiples? 4, yes, it is present. Okay, and 6, yes, it is present because of 3. And then its fourth multiple is 8, which is present. Its fifth multiple 10. So multiples we cannot guarantee the multiples. So if a number is dividing a given number, then its multiple may or may not. Okay, may or may not. And if a number is not dividing, then its multiple cannot. Okay, so 2 is dividing, its all multiples may or may not. 5 is not dividing, its multiples will not. Did you get the point? Is 10 a factor? No. 11? No, because not present. Is 12 a factor? Yes, because 2 into 2 into 3 is present and the cofactor is this. Is 13 a factor? Yes, because it is present. So 13 into its cofactors, which is 504. Is 14? Yes, 14 is a factor because 7 into and the cofactors is this. Is 15 a factor? No, because 5 is not present. 16 is not, because 8 is present, not 16. We need one more 2, which is not here. So 16 is not, 17 is not, 18 is, because 9 into 2 and the cofactor is this. 20? No, because 5 is not. 21? Yes, because 7 and 3 are present. Cofactor is this. Is 22? No, because 11 is not. So 2 and 11 both are needed. 11 is not there, so 22 will not. 23 will not. 24 will. Yes, because 8 into 3, 24. And the cofactor is this. 25? No. 26? 13 into 2 is there. 13 into 2 is 26. So 26 is a factor and the cofactor is this. So similarly, you can list all the factors of. Okay. And till where you have to go. Means from 26 we have reached 26. The biggest number is this. Sorry, the smallest factor is this and the biggest number is this. Okay, so what all can be the factors of this? All the numbers less than this. This is a factor and all the numbers less than this can be a factor. So all the numbers between this and this can be a factor of this. Okay, so how? So do we have to go all the way? But you can see here the domain is decreasing. 1 and this. So all the factors lie between these. 2 and this. So the domain has shrinked now. Now the factors lie between 2 and 3 to 7, 6. Obviously, when this number will increase, this will decrease than this. No? So 3 into this, you can see that here. Small, big, yes, they are small big, but this is continuously increasing and this is continuously decreasing. Obviously when it is increasing, this has to decrease to compensate. Why compensate? Because after all they have to make 6552. Okay, so what I'm trying to see is tell you people that we have to check all the numbers between 26 to 252 at this point. Okay, so I've checked few of them, and by checking all of them one by one, discarding who all are not the factors and selecting who all of, I've listed all of this. So domain got shrinked off 39 to 168, then 56 to 1. So all the factors now lie between 78 and 84. So very few numbers are to be checked, and when I checked, then I got to know 84 and 78. At a point that it becomes opposite, 78 and 84, now it became 84 and 78. Small big, small big, small big, small big. This is small and this is big. Small and the cofactor is big. And here what happened? This is big and this is small. That means there are no more factors. So we are able to list all the factors just by looking at the prime factorization. This was the one utility of the prime factorization form. The second utility is provide ease of reducing the numbers. Okay, we can easily reduce the numbers. Suppose we have this number and we have to reduce it. So you may go for divisibility rules and you may try that also, but you won't be able to reduce it for a longer time. Okay, but because to find out a common factor to reduce them is very tough. But prime factorization helps in that. No, because prime factorization provides all the factors. We get to know what all are the factors of 186, and we get to know what all are the factors of 1457. So when you have to reduce this, you need not to look at the common factor. You just focus the smaller number and factorize it. Okay, like this. 186, when you will factorize it, it's easy to factorize because 6, it's once place has 6, so it's divisible by 2. When we'll start factorizing, you will be able to get factorization form. Okay, that means this number is either divisible by 1 or 186, 2 or 93, 3 and 62. Okay, then 6 means all the factors can be listed. In fact, you need not to list that. In the similar way, because we are listing it in the prime factorization form. Okay, so if we list it also, let's list it this, then we get to know these are the building blocks of this number and these are the building blocks of this number. Means the number is made up of this and the number is made up of these. If something has to cancel, that will appear here, and here you can see. Okay, so the answer for the reduction form is 6/47. You will feel this. You will actually be able to absorb it when you'll try doing it. Okay, I'm giving you one more. Okay, open your notebook and just try reducing it, not by using this form but your own methods, which you know. Just apply your divisibility rules and try reducing it. So you'll feel that you won't be able to reduce it by the older methods. Means it's not impossible, but it will take time. But by doing this method, means instead of looking for the common factor and prime factorizing them, both of them will give you the fruit early. Means you'll be able to reduce it early. So I'm leaving 2 questions here. You may try them. Okay, moving towards the next, use of prime factorization. So far we have discussed 2 use. One is it helps us to list all the factors. Second is it's provide an ease of reducing the numbers. Third one helps to find whether the number is a perfect square and perfect cube, etc. or not. Okay, so if you have a number, by looking at the prime, this is some number, no? This is a unique number. Unique means if you multiply them, you'll get a one perfect number. It won't be different for each one of you. Okay, one perfect number. What all can you tell about that number? Okay, so here we can list all the factors, and secondly, is it a perfect square or cube? It helps us to find out. So by looking at the prime factorization, we can say that this number is a perfect square. Okay, means it, no, because 3 is 2 times, 3 is again 2 times, 2 is again 2 times. That means 18 is 2 times. No? So by looking at the prime factorization, we can decide whether it is perfect square or perfect cube or not. So this number is a perfect square. For perfect cube, these prime numbers should be divisible, we should be able to divide them into 3 equal groups. Okay, so for that we need 3 for all 3 groups. Yes, we have, but then we have a single 3 and double 2. We don't have, this cannot be distributed. These 3 numbers cannot be distributed. 2 cannot be distributed to 3 groups, and this cannot, so this can also not be. So it is a perfect square but not a perfect cube. Next, here, perfect square or cube, 3 3 3 3 2 2 2 2. So it's a perfect square. 3 3 3 2 2 2, but this 3 and this 2 will hinder it from becoming a perfect cube. Are you getting me? So it is a perfect square but not a perfect cube. Here, so basically you have to see whether these prime factors can be distributed into 2 same groups or 3 same groups. If yes, then they are perfect square and perfect cube, otherwise will not be. Okay, so here, because the 3 is 2 times, so 2 can be given to 2 groups, but this 3 will hinder now bits alone. So it's because we can see from here only we can decide it's not a perfect square. Is it a perfect cube? Then we have to see 3 is 3 times, so yes, 2 is again 3 times and 2 is again 3 times. So we can divide these prime numbers into 3 equal groups. Okay, so it is a perfect cube but not a perfect square. Next, again, if we see this 3 3 2 2, it's not a perfect square. It's and cube, this 3, the frequency of 3 is 3 and the frequency of 2 is 4, so it's not a perfect cube. So it's not a perfect square and not a perfect cube. Okay, here again you can see because of this, because of 2 it's not a perfect square, and because of 2 and 5 it's not a perfect cube. So none of them. Now this number, what's the frequency of 3? 6 2 4 7 2. Okay, as all of these are even numbers, so can easily be distributed into 2 groups. 3 can be easily distributed among 2 groups. 2 also, 7 also. So it is a perfect square. Can it be distributed into groups of 3? 3 is raised to power 6, so it can be distributed into 3 groups. But this cannot be, this cannot be. So it is a perfect square but not a perfect cube. Okay. Next, this is even, this is even, this is odd. So it cannot be distributed among 2 groups. It's not a perfect square. Can it be distributed into 3 groups? These are 24. Yes, 3 can be distributed into 3 groups. 3 raised to power 24 can be distributed into 3 groups. 2 raised to power 49 cannot be, because frequency of 2 is 49. So all the 2's cannot be distributed into 3 groups. So it's neither a perfect square nor a perfect cube. Okay, not a perfect cube. I forgot to write it, but it's not a perfect cube even. Okay, now here 24, 42, 30 all are even, so it's a perfect square because 3 raised to power 24 can be distributed into 2 groups. In fact, all of them, because it's 24, 42, 30, all are the multiples of 3, so they can be distributed into 3 groups. So it's a perfect cube. So this number, it's going to be very, big number if we have to evaluate it, but it's not a perfect cube. Sorry, it's a perfect square and a perfect cube too. So okay, it helps us to find whether a number is a perfect square or cube, etc. or not. Next, suppose I've just pasted the same table here. So prime factorization, by looking at the prime factorization, we can find out some more details also. The first, we can find out a least number by which the given number should be multiplied to get a perfect square or a perfect cube. See, it is a perfect square, but not a perfect cube. Why? It's a perfect square 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, but not a perfect cube. What is the reason? The reason is this 3 is alone and the frequency of this 2 is 2. So to make it a perfect cube, what do we need? Not to make it to get a perfect cube. By which least number should we multiply it? Well, at least what should be there? At least. This is what I mean by least. At least what should be there to make it a perfect cube? So the answer is we need 2 more 3's and 1 more 2. Okay. So what do we need? 2 more 3's and 1 more 2. So actually we have to, whatever number is this, we must multiply this number by 18. 18 is the least number which must be multiplied. Multiplying only by 2 won't work. If we multiply this number by 2, it will not turn into a number which is a perfect cube. Okay, so the least number is 18. Maximum can be anything. We can multiply this number by 3 into 3 into 2 into 8 again. If we multiply this number by 18 into 8, even then it will turn into a perfect cube. I hope so you're getting me. Okay. And okay, this number is not a perfect cube. By which least number should we divide it? By which least number should we divide this number? Okay. So we must divide this number to make it a perfect cube. We don't need this 3, we don't need this 2, and we don't need this 2 even. Okay, so we must divide this number by 12. We must multiply this number by 18 and we must multiply this by 12. The least number we must multiply with 12. Only dividing by 2 won't work. We must divide by this because we must cancel all of this to get a number which is a perfect cube. If we'll divide it by 12, we'll get a perfect cube which is 27. Okay, so by looking at the prime factorization, we can actually find out, we can fill up all these informations. No? So this is the number and the number is 12. Here, it is a perfect square but not a perfect cube. Again, to make it a perfect cube, what should we do? By which number should we multiply? Here we can see 3 into 3, so this is enough. 3 into 3 into 3, and 2 into 2 into 2 is also enough. This 3 is alone and this 2 is alone. So we must supply what? We must supply 2 3's and 2 2's. Okay, so the least number which we must multiply this number with is this. Okay, so so this is the least number. 9 2s are 18, 18 2s are 36. Okay, and here it is a perfect cube but not a perfect square. By which least number should we multiply it to make it a perfect square? So here, to make it a perfect square, this is 3 3, 2 2, 2 2 2. Only this 3 is hindering. No? So we must supply a 3. So the least number is 3 here. Okay. It's not a perfect square, perfect cube. To make it a perfect square, 3 3, 2 2, 2 2, we must supply a 3 to make it a perfect square. To make it a cube, 3 3's, 3 2's, 2 2's must be supplied. So To make it a perfect square, we must the least number which should be multiplied is 3. And to get a perfect cube, we must multiply by 4. In the similar way here, we must multiply by 6 to make it a perfect square, and we must multiply by 20 to make it a perfect cube. Okay, I'm just saying it's a least number. If you, instead of 6, if you multiply it by 24, even then you will get a perfect square. No, 3 into 2, it's just for, it's needed. But if along with 6 if we supply 4 also, it won't hinder, because 4 is a perfect square itself. I suppose you're getting me. Okay, so 6 is the least number by which this should be multiplied to get a perfect square, and 24 is one more number by which this should be multiplied. There are infinitely many numbers which can be multiplied to this number to get a perfect square. Okay, but the least one is 6. And here also infinitely many numbers, but the least one is this. Okay, here it's a perfect square but not a perfect cube. Why? Because of this and this. 2 raised to power 4 cannot be, because it's 4, it cannot be distributed to 3 groups to make it a perfect cube. Okay, so minimum what should be this? This must be 6. No, this must be 6 and this must be 3. So we must supply 2 more 2's and 1 7. Okay, 2 more 2's and 1 7 to make it a perfect cube. Okay, it's not a perfect square, perfect cube, because of this 49. 24, it can be divided into 2 groups and 3 groups. 12 can be divided into 2 groups and 3 groups, but 49 cannot be. Okay, so what should be this? What should we supply to make this number a perfect square and perfect cube? I want answer from you, and I just want you to fill up all these also. All these blanks also. Okay, so this is one more one more utility you can say, or this information can be obtained from the prime factorization form. And what's the use of this information? You never know. You may you may need them at any point. Okay. One more thing. See, this is the prime factorization of a number. I didn't write the number. I've just given this form. This number is not fixed because here we have variable 3 raised to power n. Okay, this can be 10, that means this is 10. This can be 20. N can be anything. Okay, n can be anything. But this is the prime factorization, and this is also the prime factorization, but it's not the number. It's actually the prime factorization form. No, it's 3 into 3 into 3, so it's a prime factorization form. It's also giving us an information that this number can never end with 0. You know why? Because whatever may be the value of n, 1, 2, 1000, 2000. Okay, if you calculate 3 raised to power 2000, you may use the calculator. You'll never get a number ending with 0. Okay, whatever may be the value of n. N can be from from 0 to infinity. You may choose n anything, but this number can never end with 0. Means whatever number if you substitute different values of n, you will get different numbers. No, if you substitute 1 here, you'll get 3. If you substitute 2, you'll get 9. If you substitute 3 here, you'll get 27, and so on. So different values of n can be substituted, and different values of 3 raised to power n can be obtained. So it's basically not a one number. It's a representative of many numbers. So what I'm trying to tell you, whatever may be the value of n, means all those numbers, none of the number will end with 0. Reason is, you know the reason? The reason is because this number will not have 2 and 5. 3 raised to power n is telling the number is composed of 3 only. So that means there is no 2 and 5. So that means it's not a multiple of 10. No? So number cannot end with 0. for any number to end with 0, it must have 5 and 2 in its prime factorization. Got it? The number must be a multiple of 5 and 2 both. 5 alone won't work. If 5 will be there in the prime factorization, even then it won't be. Got it? Similarly, here 2 raised to power n, this number will also not end with 0 because there is no 5 in this, but it will also not end with 1357. See, this is 2 raised to power n. Again, infinitely many numbers. 2 raised to power 1347 if n is 1347, and if you calculate it, that number will also not end with 1357. None of the numbers. Why? Because this number is composed of 2's, that means it's an even number, and even number never ends with this. Got it? So I've listed few of these things here, and many more can be revealed. So I'm not asking you to learn them or do something like that. I just wanna introduce you to the use of the prime factorization. So whenever you have been asked any question about any number, so the all answers basically lies at most of the answers lies in the prime factorization form, because it's actually the form. It's actually the composition of the number. It breaks the number. It gives us the building blocks of the numbers, which reveals everything, almost everything about the number. So that's all for this video. Thank you.